Hello, Art Major. I'm going to go over your color theory lesson with you for today. You can find this in Unit 6, Color Theory, Folder Module 1, which is the color chart. So color theory is something that you most likely have been going over and learning about since you were in kindergarten or first grade, where we talk about different colors, where colors come from, and then how to use colors in your artwork to influence what the viewer gets from your artwork. So there's lots of vocabulary associated with this, color being the most important one. Remember, color is an element of art that we went over in the beginning of the year, and it's derived from reflected light. So the way light works is that when you have a light, and if you in science class have done this experiment where you pass it through a prism, the prism then breaks up the light into different colors. So when light hits something, the color that is reflected back to your eyes is the color that you see. So with a tree, a light hits the leaves, the green is reflected back, that's what you see. A tint is a color that you add white to, so it's a lighter version of that color. And a shade is a color that you add black to, it's a darker version of that color. Primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. You can't make these colors, you have to have them to start with. You cannot mix red no matter what you do. You can't mix yellow from anything, you can't mix blue from anything. And from these three colors, technically you can make almost any color that you want other than black and white. Secondary colors are orange, green, and violet. So these colors are created by mixing two primaries together. So if you mix red and yellow, it makes orange. Yellow and blue makes green. Blue and red makes violet, or purple. In this slideshow, I call it violet, but either word is interchangeable. And then there's tertiary colors, and those are colors that you create by mixing a primary color with a secondary color next to it. So on the color wheel, or in a rainbow, if you think of it that way, the colors go red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. If you mix red and orange together, you get red-orange. If you mix yellow and green together, you get yellow-green. So here are your primary colors, red, yellow, and blue. Here are your secondary colors, orange, green, and purple. And then here's a color wheel showing primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. So like I said, tertiary colors are the colors that you get when you mix a primary with a secondary color that's next to it. Color wheels always go in order. So make sure that you have your color wheel goes in order. Every single color wheel you look at will go in the same order. You can't just have random colors. And what this does is it shows with color mixing how you get from one color to the next. So if you have red and orange, like I said, you've got red-orange here. And then you mix orange and yellow, you get yellow-orange. Yellow and green, you get yellow-green. Green and blue, you get blue-green. So you'll see as you work your way around the color wheel by mixing these colors together. So a color scheme is an arrangement or grouping of colors based on artistic choice. So if you were going to choose a subject matter like that you wanted to kind of give the viewer an overwhelming feel of it, if you were to paint something, sad, the subject matter would be sad, but if you use like blues and purples and grays, it would kind of make you feel even more sad. So a color scheme is kind of specifically choosing colors based on how they would make the viewer feel or how they make you feel as you paint it. Complementary colors are colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. Complementary colors balance each other out, and if you mix them together, they create brown. And they also tone down your color. So if your yellow is too bright, like way too vivid, if you add its complement, which is violet, to it, a little bit will tone it down so it's not so bright. Split complementary colors, and all of these I will show you examples of shortly. Split complementary colors are a color scheme that uses three colors. So you would choose the color that you want to specifically use. So if I wanted to use blue, because blue is my favorite, I'd like to use blue in everything. You would go to its complement. So the complement of blue is orange. Then you use the colors on either side of orange. So that would be yellow-orange and red-orange. So my color scheme would be blue, yellow-orange, and red-orange. Monochromatic colors are a color scheme that uses one color and its tints and shades, so one color and its lights and darks. Analogous colors are a grouping of three colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So three colors that are right next to one another, which would be like yellow, yellow-green, and green, or violet, red, red. Warm colors are colors that make you think of warmer things like red, orange, and yellow, and cool colors are colors that make you think of cooler things like green, blue, and violet. So here we have intensity. Like I said, intensity is the brightness or dullness of a color. Same thing with the word intense in general. Like if you have a friend that is really intense, like they're really strong, they're really projecting a vibe. So intense colors are very bright. They're very strong. You can dull them down by adding its complement to it. So the complement of green is red. If your green is too bright, add the tiniest bit of red, and then you can dull it down. Here we have the complementary colors. So like I said, the three main ones are yellow and purple, blue and orange, and red and green. And then if you wanted to get a little more creative with your complementary colors, you could do tertiaries because you use their opposite as well. So yellow-orange, across from yellow-orange is blue-violet. Red-orange, across from that is blue-green. And also notice the primaries are generally listed first when you're listing colors. Also, when you have a tertiary color, the primary is listed first. So yellow-orange, yellow-green, red-orange, red-violet, blue-green, blue-violet. Here we have your splint complementary colors, like I said. So if red-orange was the color you choose, you go straight across to its complement, which is blue-green. And then you use the colors on either side of it, so blue and green. Here, if I have yellow is my color, I go straight across from yellow to violet, and then it's the colors on each side. So I have violet, red, and blue-violet. And this is orange-yellow. Straight across is blue-violet, so blue and violet. Monochromatic colors are tints and shades of a color. The one thing you want to always remember when you're using monochromatic color schemes, and really any color mixing in general, is you don't ever want to mix black and white to the same color because it will, if you mix black and white together, it makes gray. So if you're doing monochromatic colors, you always want to use that color specifically straight out of the bottle or from the tube, and then add white to it, and you can keep on adding white. If you're going darker, you want to take that color straight out of the tube again in a separate spot and add black to it. If I have a color like blue and I add white to it, I get a really light blue, and I add black to the light blue, it turns it like this gray, muddy color. So whenever you're using monochromatic colors or tints and shades in general, just keep in mind if you add, black to white, it's going to gray down whatever color that you already have in there. Analogous colors are three colors on the color wheel right here. So you have, yellow, yellow-orange, and orange. It just shows you your pieces of the color wheel of what those three colors would be. And you can reference this presentation as you're starting your color chart to pick your colors out. And then warm and cool, this is a color wheel. Like I've said, every color wheel you see always goes in the same order. Warm colors generally make you think of things that are warmer, like the summertime or fire. Cool colors generally make you think of like winter or ice. So warm and cool colors are another option that you would have if you were, doing a painting. So here is the assignment that what you guys are going to do. You're going to create on a piece of 12 by 15 paper, so using the 12 by 15 oak tag that I gave you in your bin at the beginning of the year. This was in there the first time you picked it up along with your paint. You're going to take that paper and you're going to design a layout that fits all of these above on that one piece of paper. You can use shapes, so you could make shapes. You could make a stencil if you wanted to do a flower, a sun, a star, etc. Or a geometric layout like a typical color wheel, which is a circle divided up into pieces, so like a pie. A rectangle for your monochromatic scale, etc. So it's up to you if you want to get creative by using actual shapes of things or if you just want to use geometric shapes. And keep in mind the size that you're making it. Because your paper is only 12 by 15, if you're making things too big, they're not all going to fit on the same page. So I would make sure the first thing I would lay out is your 12-step color wheel because that's going to be your biggest, and then go and fit these things around it. And you can divide it up however you want to on the page. It does not have to look like my example, which I'm going to show you next. So you have to include a 12-step color wheel. So it's either going to be 12 different shapes that you're going to paint your colors, or you're going to make a circle, so like trace something, like a small plate, and then divide it up in half and divide it in half the other way, and then divide each quarter into thirds. So you're going to have 12 wedges in your pie or your pizza. A 9-step monochromatic scale, so 9 boxes, like we do with the value scale, where it goes from light to dark of whatever color you choose. 3 sets of complementary colors, so you want to do 3 sets of 2 shapes, so red and green, blue and orange, yellow and purple, and then 1 set of analogous colors, which is your choice. Make sure that you keep your lines light. Temper won't cover dark lines, especially the temper cakes that you guys are using. They're not really thick. They're not going to cover that pencil up, so keep everything light. Make sure that everything is really neat, too. So if your lines are all over the place, make sure they're very nice and neat lines. Once everything is drawn out, you can start painting. So you want to start by outlining your shapes, and that'll be in another video, and then you're going to fill it in. So outline first, slowly and steadily, then you fill in your shape. Take your time and be neat. If you want to, a lot of people find it easy to label your spaces before you start with the color that you're going to use so that you don't mess it up, or so that you feel more confident with what you're doing. Begin by carefully outlining the shape with paint and then fill it in. Mix your colors in the palette, so don't mix them on top of the temper cake because then you're going to taint whatever color it is that you're using. And they can be dry and reconstituted later with water. Use 2 layers of tempera, so paint 1 layer, let it dry, and come back to it. And then this is an exercise, so you get 20 points for completing it with the required colors. And here's my example. So I have my 12-step color wheel going outside, around the outside. I used a small paint cup to trace, so these are nice traced circles. I have my 9-step monochromatic value scale right here. I have my 3 sets of 2, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then I have 3 analogous colors that are going to go right here. So this is my layout of what I have. I have everything that fits on the paper, and it fits nicely.